Hey guys, Shadowwada here, and today I really want to talk about something that worries me greatly. Um, and that's pro mentality versus noob mentality. And I've just been seeing some comments in like my Twitch chat a little bit. I've been seeing like comments over here, comments over there, and I just recently got back from the Games Developers Conference. And I remember I was at a party last year's Games Developers Conference. And I was talking with an indie developer. And this was after I got out kind of like the indie dev scene. And we were talking. And I always thought about going back, making like an indie game, maybe making a real time strategy game. Who knows, right? That's like further down the line. Um, and one thing to always remember is like don't get a little bit too arrogant, right? It's just like Steve Jobs, Apple. Apple just does one thing. They do like electronics. Um, and so if you kind of go too far out of your competency, you could kind of screw up. Excuse me. So I was just talking with the guy though, and we were just talking. And I said, yeah, I think I might get into indie development one day, make the great indie game of our time. And he kind of laughed. And I was just thinking, I didn't really say anything funny. And he said to me like, oh, the great indie game of our time, not just an indie game, not just like with the goal of like, I want to make a video game to completion. But like my goal is like I want to make the best indie game. And this really highlights for me like pro mentality and noob mentality. That when I made that statement, it never crossed my mind. It was like an outlandish statement or a grandiose statement. But to him, he thought it was kind of funny. Now, granted, his game I think won an award that year, so I don't want to badmouth him that much. But if he asked me like, do you want to invest in my idea or do you want to help work with us in some way, I probably would pass on it, just because of like that comment. Um, because it just like it reminds me of what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump says a lot of stuff, but there's one thing he said that I really liked, and it's that thinking big and thinking small uses up the same amount of calorie in your mind. So like having a thought uses up the same amount of energy. So you might as well think big than think small. And for me, I feel that when it comes to that pro mentality, just think big, just think all the way. I think we have a book around here. It's somewhere around here. I think it's on my bed actually, but it's bold. And the first half of the book I really like because it goes in depth about bold mentalities. We're talking like Elon Musk type mentalities. Like Elon Musk, I love that guy because he made PayPal because or he was one of the key guys on PayPal. Made a shit ton of money through PayPal, and most people, they give him a couple $1 million, they would just retire. But Elon Musk said, no, I'm a I'm gonna make three businesses at the same time. Not one, not two, but three. I'm gonna make Tesla, Solar City, and SpaceX. So this is like an electric car, which nobody did at that point, where people were like, Elon, you're like, that's not gonna work. There's no charging stations. Solar City, where it's just like, solar panels or whatever. And then fucking SpaceX going into space, getting a colony on Mars and stuff. So that's an example of dreaming big. And Elon Musk, he's like, man, I don't know if I can do this. He described the process. It was like pulling shards of glass out of his eyes. But he believed in his vision and he believed in what he was doing. So he dreamed really big and he did it. And for a lot of people out there, even if you only get close to the dream, you've still done a lot. So if your dream, let's say it's like these guys that I talked about earlier about the indie game, if their dream is just to make a game, it probably won't be a good game because that's where their thing is. Their target is like here. So ideally, like in their mind, it's just like a fucking bullseye is just right here. And obviously people don't hit bullseyes, so it's just like realistically they'll hit right here. But let's say your goal is to make like, I don't know if this is a frame anymore, but like off the fucking frame, of the camera right now. This is like if your goal is to like make super game and you miss the target, let's say you only like achieve 80% towards your goal. Your 80% may be like 10 times better than their 100%. And so that's why I think you should have big goals, because quite frankly you'll just achieve more. And now I know what some of you guys might be saying, but like especially in regards to video games, like, yeah, Shadowwada, man, I just want to play video games well, man. I don't want to be like esports or anything. I just want to play video games better. So like I have my shorter goals, you know? And having smaller goals, like that's good. Like I do want to make a distinction between goals and vision. Like vision dream should be huge as fuck. Goals, those should be a little bit tinier. Those should be achievable in a given time span. But when it comes to that vision, when it comes to that dream, having the pro mentality is this, where it's like, for example, like I want to learn piano. But I don't want to be like a pro piano player or anything. That's not my goal. But my pro mentality says to myself, if I wanted to be a pro piano player, I could do it. A lot of people don't have that mentality. A lot of people be like, oh man, fuck man, there's no way I could do it. No way I could do a pro piano playing. No way, bro. And it's just like, that's a noob mentality, man. Noob mentality. Where I only have that mentality with, I think, like one thing, and that's like painting or drawing. Where it's like, yeah, probably won't do. Now that I think about it, I probably could fucking do it though. Cause like I'm learning Japanese, and it's just like, if I learn Japanese, cause you have to learn like all the characters, and there's like 2,000. It's 2,000 to 2,500 unique characters you need to know to read the newspaper. So it's like if I practice like writing slash drawing these unique characters, my penmanship could probably get a lot better, and then I could be one step closer to being a pro painter. So even in regards to the one thing that in my mind I probably won't be pro at, and I still probably would be pro. And see that I'm choking up. I'm choking up at the amazingness of myself. But here's the thing. It's not because I'm great or anything, because I'm certainly not. I have my weaknesses and I have my flaws like everybody else. But I want you guys to have that mentality. Because some people are like, man, Shadowwada, man, you're so arrogant and grandiose. Like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, I would say now there's some people, say that. And then there's some people who say it and they're kind of like grudgers, right? Like that's like, they're the very like grudger people. And they're like, oh man, blah. And it's just like, well, chances are you probably, and Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher, kind of commented on this too, where it's just like, yeah, you hate me because you ain't me. Nietzsche didn't say that though. But it's just like, you kind of hate that because you yourself know you could be doing a lot better, and deep down you may even think like, oh, there's no way I can do it. So anybody with that kind of attitude mentality is obviously arrogant and grandiose, because of course it's not possible, right? And it reminds me of what one of the greatest teachers of all time said: do or do not, there is no try. And and that's Master Yoda for everybody, for the one person who didn't see Star Wars, gosh. But there's that scene in The Empire Strikes Back where Luke is using the Force and all that, and he's just like, oh, it's fucking impossible. And then Yoda's like, I got this, and he just lifts the X-wing out of the swamp, and Luke's just like, I can't believe it. And Yoda's like, and that's why you fail, right? Whether or not you're a success in gaming or a failure in gaming, it all emanates from here. It all just comes from that mentality. So regardless of what your goals or aspirations are, be it if you want to be an esports pro or you just want to be good at video games because it's like your hobby and you don't really have, let me do comment on that. Like when I started out 10 years ago in World in Conflict, and I made a clan to number 7 in the leaderboards, you might see the good old Foxhound symbol behind me. I don't know if you can see it. It might not be in frame. But when I started out, I didn't think 10 years later I'd be here talking in front of a camera to people, or I would have a stream where people watch me play video games or any of this shit. All I was concerned about in that moment was like, I'm playing this video game and I want to be the best and I want to beat all the other mofos and I ain't taking no for an answer. And so I did it, and I never thought it would went this way. So I would say life can be very surprising. So even if it's just like, oh man, I ain't got esports aspirations, who knows? It might happen. Something might happen. Uh, uh, and even less than that, being pro of video games, that's just something you could put down on your resume, man. Because like it's a skill that is a complicated skill. So even if your thing is, even if you're not being esports pro, you might end up doing that. Even if you're not even in the games industry, it may help you in other ways as well. So I would be very kind of reluctant to just, write off a thing. Again, pro mentality. Where it's just like pro mentality is like, hey, anything could happen. Tomorrow I could be fucking running a space station going to Mars or whatever, right? That the future's abundant and anything could happen. And so, anyway, back to the original thing. Regardless of what your aspirations are, esports pro or just a guy who wants to be better at video games, you should always have the mentality that you could be pro if you chose to do it. That if you put in and here's the thing. Now, people are kind of delusional, right? So let's put an asterisk here and let's go into like the the more in-depth thing. Like having pro mentality is not, I got this shit, brah. Let me just come in here and own this. That's not pro mentality. Pro mentality is like, I'm going to come in here and own this shit. Only if I put in the time and I put in the work. And in this sense, failure is not even an option on the table. Where it's like, I may lose and lose over and over again, but eventually I will win. See, that's pro mentality. Because back when I started a clan, like I was nobody. I sucked compared to the pro people. The people I played with, they sucked compared to the pro people. In some ways, people were like, "Oh man, Shadowwada, you just a pub star, bro." And the difference though is that I always had that pro mentality. Even when I wasn't pro, even when I was nobody, I had that mentality that like, nah, we're playing against these pro mofos until we beat them. And eventually we became better and better. And we became better, like the people who started out with me and or the other clans, the other players, the other people of my skill level, they never advanced up as high as we did because they never went out. They didn't have that pro mentality like, oh man, there's no way we can beat the pro people, man. There's no way we can do that. And so they never tried and they never did it. And that's why they fail. Like Master Yoda said, right? Because you don't believe it, that's why you fail. And so that's my little takeaway here, guys. Always have that pro mentality. Always believe you can achieve greatness and have that high self esteem because a lot of people do not have high self esteem and confidence. Or I should say courage. Because I'll leave you guys with this the difference between confidence and courage. Right now, I have confidence in my gaming ability because I have years of evidence and experience to back up myself. Be like, oh, I'm pro in video games. And it's just like I can look back on life and be like, yes, I am. While courage, on the other hand, you can only have courage if you don't have that experience. Be like, I can't have any confidence in my ability because I have no evidence that I can do this, but I have courage. And so courage is doing what you want to do in spite of having no evidence to support your claim. So like, I'm not good at video games, but I'm courageous and I believe I can be pro at video games and have that pro mentality. And so you do need a bit of courage. And most people don't have that courage because I'm gonna tell you a little secret here. Most people deep down believe that they can't do it. They believe they deep down, regardless of what they tell themselves, regardless of what they may think about themselves, deep down they believe I cannot do that. And so they go on delusions such as like, oh, of course I could do it if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I have other things to do. Or, oh, I'm too busy, man. I'm too busy. my goal isn't to be esports pro, so why bother being good at video games? Like that ain't my goal, man. I got other goals. Shit, I'm too busy, man. Blah blah blah. And all these reasons, all these excuses for why they haven't achieved the goal. Now, granted, if that's not your goal, if your goal isn't to be esports pro, don't beat yourself up about it. But there are people who want that goal, and there are people who do genuinely want to be better at video games, but they have the lack of self esteem, lack of lack of courage, and so they don't try and they make up excuses. So don't don't be that. That is not you. Don't let that be you. Instead, be a pro. Just think to yourself, "Hey guys, Shadowwada, I'm back. The camera died, and I feel it died at a good little part. I'm glad it died because this kind of gave me a moment to reflect and to burp more, even though I'm burping now. But it gave me some time to reflect because if you notice, I don't really have that great of a background. Don't really have cool ass lighting. I'm using the fucking iPhone to record this video that the battery died and all that. And yet, even with as simple as a setup, and with this YouTube channel here, even then I still have the pro mentality where I know a couple video editors, and I just think to myself, like I'll hire them one of these days. I will get them on board. Or with this YouTube channel, for example, right now I think we have about 50 guys subscribing. 50, not even 100 yet. But for me, it's just like, well, we're gonna have a million people subscribe to this channel. We're gonna get the hundreds of millions of views. Like we will do that eventually if we put in the time and the energy and do the process. Because now I don't know if I mentioned this already or if it was during the part that got cut out. But I talked about how there's pro mentality, noob mentality, and cocky mentality. And I myself had the cocky mentality. Some of you guys may know 2014, the first half of that year was not good for me. I just took on way too much than I could handle. And I had the cocky mentality. I said to myself, I got this shit. I'm the Shadowwada. I got this. And at the time, I was, let me list them all. I was learning a language. That's what I was doing. I was learning a language. I was starting two businesses. And I've never had a successful business before. Didn't start one business, but two. Got a little cocky in that regard. I was going to school. And this was around a time when I had a bit of a existential crisis, a little bit, where I just kind of got disenfranchised with university and all that because it's like, yeah, fuck this, man. I'm busy. I'm too busy trying to make some businesses happen, trying to get shit done, to be worried about English literature, which is my professional like major in university, and so I had that going on. And most importantly, this was during a time when I met a particular woman who was the last great love of my life. Joking aside, no, I really did like her, and that didn't really go well because of all this stress in my life, because of all these bad things. It made me a worse person, and it didn't work out, unfortunately. And I have two quotes that usually go with that. Number one is from Tony Robbins. When you win, you party, and when you lose, you ponder. But I have my second quote, which I say first. I say the second quote first, which is, "What do you do when you win? Party. What do you do when you lose? Party harder." So that summertime, I was just, oh my. A funny thing, like the people who play with me, like Tar and Wander, people who know me for 10 years, especially during that time, I wasn't streaming, thank God. But like some of you guys, like, oh, Shao, man, you're such a rager. You have all these like videos, and you get very passionate on streaming. It's like, man, you ask my buddies who watch some of those videos, it's like, yeah, that's pretty mild for Shadowwada. That's not too bad. And oh boy, I remember especially it was like June to July, man. I was just The best moment I remember was I need my desk, and the speed. Like I got so mad at a video game that I was furious, and I just need the fucking desk. Everything's falling over. Like it was not good. It was not good. But and so like this whole experience, it led me to to more doing self growth, going back to the basics, and getting more of the pro mentality rather than a cocky arrogant mentality. And the pro mentality really is, when you boil it down, it's just like I can achieve anything if I do the process, if I go through the necessary steps. Not I got this, let me just roll up and fucking do it. But saying to myself, if I, if I read some books, get some more knowledge, copy what the pros do, get some coaches, get some mentors, and just every day work on it. And no matter how many times I lose, no matter how many times I stumble or fall, eventually I will win or die, whichever one comes first. And so, an example of this recently for me was I was at the Games Developers Conference, and I was at a little private party. They had their bigger party, and then they had a little tiny one afterwards. So it was like me and like 20 people, like 20 people total, 10 to 20 at the Patreon headquarters. And I was just, we were doing a little tour of the headquarters, and it's really cool. They have all these instruments, they have all these cool rooms. This is a very nice office, very nice office. It really, like, they're channeling the spirit of Richard Branson with their office. And so it was really cool to be there. It's just like, this office is so cool. But it was a little bit bittersweet for me because as an entrepreneur, I was thinking to myself, it was very two things. It was like, I can do better than Patreon, but even more important than that, I can do better than what I'm doing now. And seeing that up close and personal, like, this is what true success, or not very true success, but this is what more success looks like than the success I have. Because during the time of the first half of 2014, I had two businesses. One never really got off the ground, and the other one, kinda. I was working hard on the first one. Like, there was two. One that never got off the ground. I shouldn't have even done that. Like, it was just dumb. And then the first one, um, which was more in my circle of competence. It was in the games industry, indie gaming. And I was working on getting off the ground. I had people lined up and put together, but I didn't have sufficient enough, like, experience in business, and working with people and just getting all that going together. And so it never really got off the ground. And then along with all the other stresses of life, because there's two things I remember from that time. There was one where it was just this overall feeling of being very, very tired. And I remember just sitting in like a chair, just leaning back in this big chair with my friend Gary, and just talking with Gary occasionally, and just being all fucking tired and just exhausted. And then the second big big memory of that time was also lying in bed looking at like the wall or ceiling, again very tired, and thinking to myself, wow, I can do better than this. And like, I'm capable of being better. I just can't channel anything right now, because I was just so stressed out and just so, like, out of my groove, right? Like, I was in a slump. And so it's never good to get the cocky mentality, and that's something that some people say, like, oh, Shadowwada, man, you're arrogant, you're cocky, you're this, that, or other thing. But really, it's them misreading the pro mentality, because they might have too much of the noob mentality. And so I just want everybody to know that, and I'm not just speaking for myself, but I'm speaking to you guys too, and that you guys should just have this mentality too, because it's just like, it's a little bit hard to put into words, but I believe everybody can just do better than what they're doing now. And if you come out with that philosophy that, if I do everything, if I put in the work, if I do all the right steps, quote unquote right steps, that eventually I'll get what I want. And now that's not saying you can be everything, You can be anything, but you can't be everything. But you definitely can be more than what you are today. And for a lot of people, I would say you gotta have those bigger goals or the bigger dreams, the bigger vision. And for me, especially being in San Francisco, I come into contact with a lot of very successful people, um, a lot of um, a lot of wealthy individuals, a lot of successful individuals, a lot of this, that, and other thing. And it can be a little bit intimidating, a little bit daunting, but it also keeps me focused to keep moving forward and to be better. Um, hey guys, and we're back. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there. I was getting a little emotional, a little reminiscent. It's funny because I recently did a video in front of the Martin Luther King Memorial, more or less on this topic, but that was late at night. I was drinking a little bit. I was, late night tired, so I was a little bit more emotional in that sense. And so I wanted to make this video a little bit more formal, a little bit more practical, a little bit more, I want to hit some points here and not just kind of talk off of my head like I was doing at the Martin Luther King Memorial. And funny enough, I was getting a little emotional there because the first half of 2013 was a hard period of my life, and man, I really really did feel for the girl. I don't want to say her name on the video, privacy and all that, and this is a good segue to regrets, because as much as I feel remorse, as much as I have a heavy heart about this time, especially uh, screwing up or missing this opportunity with this girl, and the relationship we could have had. Um, and as much as, I would want to go back and change things, I don't actually regret this. The philosopher Nietzsche, he kind of talked about how he had this idea of the great recurrence, that to be the Ubermesh, to be the overman, you not only have to not regret everything, but you would have to will it um, over again. So whatever decisions you make in life, imagine when you die, you have to live your entire life over again, the same way. And to be the overman, you have to not only be okay and accept everything that you've done, but actually will it. And so, in regards to that period, I don't actually regret it per se, because regret means I would go back and change it. And as much as would want things to be differently, it led to me becoming who I am today. Because as great as I was back then, I wasn't as good as I am today. I didn't have I wasn't as mindful as I was. I didn't have the mentors that I had. And really, it's because of getting hit so hard by life, I realized, okay, I'm not as good as I thought I was, and I need to get better. And so, going back to the pro mentality and regrets, is that um, when, like, thinking all the way to the end of like your death and the end of life, one of the big things is like thinking about regrets. And so when you have big dreams and big ambitions and big goals, and you believe you can get to them, not only will you hit closer to them, but you'll have less regrets. And so really, settling, I really wouldn't settle. Unless I would say it's better to like aim, like, because it's not for everybody, having like huge, like being esports pro or whatever, like that's not for everybody. But everybody can be better than they are. And so and so that's really what I'm getting at, is that whatever that goal may be, working towards it um will help you not have any regrets. And I wouldn't want regrets. um and it reminds me of a quote from Chief Tecumseh. um Goes, love your life, perfect your life, beautify all things in your life, When it comes your time to die, be not like those whose hearts are filled with the fear of death, so that they beg and weep for a little bit more time to live their lives over again in a different way. When it comes your time to die, die like a hero going home. And so, by having the pro mentality, you can die like a hero going home. You can say to yourself, yeah, I did my best. I pushed myself harder and I got closer to achieving my goals, rather than thinking to yourself, like, I could have done more and I could have been better. And as I alluded to earlier, not having that pro mentality, not having big goals, and also being humble enough in the face of those goals. For example, I wasn't humble back in what was it, 2014. I wasn't humble. I was just like, hey, I got this. I don't need to learn. I don't need mentors. I don't need any of this shit. I'm gonna go in and dominate. And didn't really work out. And I paid a price for that. Um, and so I don't want you guys to pay a price for that. I don't want you guys to, one day be sitting in front of a fucking camera and be like, oh man, the great love of my life, she's out of my life. See, I don't want you guys to have that. And so that's why you have to have pro mentality. So you can make less mistakes, so you can go farther and be more pro. Because if you're gonna do something in life, might as well go big or go home. Because you never know where life will take you. Because back when I started 10 years ago, I never thought that my competitive gaming skills would take me where I am today. And so it's an incredible journey. Even though I'm not an esports player, I'm not an esports pro. 10 years ago, I had the opportunity to be an esports pro, but I never could imagine esports is what it is today, so I never really went there. And in some ways, I'm happy that I've never went there. Have you seen like some of my passionate, ragey videos? It's just like, imagine that, just way worse. Because back in the day, I was way worse. And so, in some regards, I'm glad I didn't. It took me a while to get more and more success because it forced me to become a better and better person. Oh boy, because I think about like people who are kind of quote unquote universally hated, like Kanye West or Kim Kardashian or Justin Bieber or whatever. Whereas like just let's take Justin Bieber for example, because he's a young guy and he's like doing like douchey things like destroying hotel rooms and driving around really fast and just overall and oh god, there was one where he stole a bicycle. And I can't remember if he stole the bicycle, but he was riding around a bicycle backstage at like a casino or hotel. Um, I don't know what I would be doing if I got that amount of success early on in life. Hopefully, I would like to say I would be better than Justin Bieber, but who knows? Who knows? So I don't really know where I went with that point, but oh yeah, yeah, I could have been esports pro. I could have been Justin Bieber. That's my point. That's my point. I could have been as successful as Justin Bieber, but I didn't, and yet because of the skills I've accumulated in competitive gaming, it led me here, right? I'm providing you guys some videos. So I got my Twitch stream, which people get entertainment from and stuff. And so it's fun, it's awesome, and it's also allowed me to meet and connect with people I normally wouldn't do. So even if you don't see like a clear kind of purpose, like oh Shadowwada talking about being good at video games is cool and all, but I don't want to be an esports pro. I don't, this ain't part of my life. It's like who cares? But it's just like, hey, if it's something you want to do, I believe you should do it to the best of your abilities. Because the other thing I do want to mention, because people give me criticism for being like grandiose and arrogant and like, oh man, you just like fucking people saying how great you are and blah blah blah. And it's like I never told anybody about like my gaming stuff in real life. I never did YouTube, never did Twitch or any of this. So for like I've been a competitive gamer for like I think 10 years now, maybe 11. It's the years get a little bit foggy, but it's like between 9 and 11 years I've been doing this, and for the vast majority of them, for at least 9 years, I just didn't tell anybody about my video game stuff. I didn't tell anybody in real life about it. Like it's funny when people ask me what I liked and what my hobbies were. I would usually say music, And my mom was like, dude, you need to say video games, man. And she's like, well, that's true to an extent. I did really like music, but I didn't like music as much as I like video games. But now I do. But now I'm an arrogant douchebag who just brags all the time about my gaming skills. It helps with the ladies. It helps. But it won't help bring the love of my life back. If only I had the tiny violin to play, right, from that SpongeBob episode. Anyway, joking aside. So the point of this video, in closing, to kind of wrap this up, since half the video is, the camera died, so I don't exactly know what's all in this video. But in closing, have a pro mentality rather than noob mentality. It just think big, dream big, and move towards it. And don't impose Actually, I know exactly what we'll end this on. Hold on. Let me get this off. Ahaha. Got a plank of wood with Bruce Lee on it. Yeah, here we go. Anyway, the quote says, I don't know if you guys can see the quote, but is, if you always put limits on everything you do, physical or anything else, it will spread into your work and into your life. There are no limits, there are only plateaus, and you must not stay there, you must go beyond them. And so, ow, splinter. Splinter. Oh shit. But anyway, no, I'm good, guys. I'm good. I think it just poked me a little bit. Um, and so the moral of this quote is that if you put limits on anything, it will just constrain you. So don't have limits. Think big, and who knows how far you can go. And I know you might be saying, oh, that's easy for you to say, Shadowwada, since you're so amazing. But when I started out 10 years ago, Foxhound, you might see my clan picture back there, clan avatar. We sucked. We were nobodies, and we just played against the pros every single day. And about a year, I think it's more or less a year, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but we eventually became one of the better clans in the game, made it to the top 10 of leaderboards. And a lot of the people who we kind of started out with, a lot of the similar skill level clans, they never went up because they never thought it was possible to go up. Like that scene in Star Wars, Master Yoda says, "Do or do not. There is no try." And when Luke is doing the Force and all that, he's like, "Ah, oh, there's no way. This is impossible." Yoda just like, lifts up the X-wing out of the swamp, and Luke says, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. And Yoda, he sighs and says, and that's why you fail. Because if you don't believe it's possible, you just can't do it. And so when you put those limits, it's never good. So might as well dream big, have those big visions, and who knows what you can achieve. And then also it minimizes regrets. Because as I've said with my little sad story, this is me like violining right now. But as I said with my little sad story, if you don't respect the process, if you don't do more, if you don't consume knowledge, if you don't try to go up in increments. See, the thing is like I was the cocky dude who just rolled up into the gym day one and be like, I'm bench pressing bench pressing 400, having never done it before. It's like, nah, dude, start with the bar and work your way up. So don't confuse pro mentality with cocky mentality. Cocky mentality is rolling up to the gym, be like, I'm benching 400 off the start. Pro mentality is rolling up to the gym, be like, I'm gonna bench that bar, and then next week I'm benching five pounds, or 10 or 20, and then you work your way up. And because if you don't respect the process, the problem, the consequences of the cocky mentality is what I said before. You will have some regrets. And then the noob mentality. Now, here's the thing. It's a little bit better to have the cocky mentality than the noob mentality. Because cocky mentality, you'll at least go out and do stuff and get your ass kicked. And then hopefully, like me, you realize, like, oh yeah, I'm a bit cocky. I'm not good enough. Let me go back to the pro mentality where I actually need to put in the work and put in the time and get better. And if I do get better, then I'll have the results I want. noob mentality where it's just like, ah, oh, you know, I can't do it. That's impossible. That's even worse because you'll never do it. And when you do get on that deathbed, you won't be dying like a hero going home. You will die filled with regret, filled with sadness, thinking about what could have been and what you could have been. Or even worse, actually, I was going to say even worse, you won't even think that because it's just so far out of your mind. But I do believe deep down, as much as people want to be grudgers and say like, oh, you know, that's impossible, or all like, oh, Shadowwada, you were born gifted with skills and stuff that I don't have, and you blah 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 blah. It's just like, as much as people might say stuff like that, it's just like I really believe deep down they know that like that could have been me if I tried a little bit harder, or I could have at least tried a little bit harder. So don't have the noob mentality, don't have the cocky mentality, have the pro mentality, and hopefully you go a long way. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys on the next one.